Next thing I want to talk about are ascension symptoms, or the age of Aquarius. It's called the New Awakening. That is what has been we've been in that transitional energy for a while, but it's super powerful right now, especially after the major shift of 2012. So what happens with the awakening is that's what I was just talking about with all the transformation of light transmuting our darkness on earth and within ourselves. The awakening is, I'll say it this way. It's pretty awesome that we actually chose to incarnate at this time. There's no accidents with anyone. We're not just born out of, just because our parents hooked up. We actually are here by choice. That goes back to what I've learned about our blueprint. We create our lives, detailed, intricate process prior to our birth with divine guidance, and we choose many things that will happen in our lives. We choose our parents, we choose our children, education, even losses. We choose loss of a job. We choose, as odd as this may sound, and some of you may judge me for it, we choose, who's to say that I said in 1990, whatever, my house is going to burn down. Those things are choices we make for our own growth. And I know some would probably stab me in the neck if they were in front of me hearing me say this when I say people even choose the loss of, losing your parent at a very young age, or how about having a father that's an alcoholic that's not present, or having a child that's disabled, that, I'm going to go back to what I just said because I got triggered on that. But having a child that's disabled, that's not able to communicate with you, choosing the loss of a child. Going back to the father, though, that choosing that as a father that's going to be an alcoholic. I want to explain that a little better. If somebody actually chooses that, well, I'll just be honest. My father was an alcoholic. Very caring man, very successful, very intelligent. But he was an alcoholic. And I think that when he chose his blueprint, that was just that free will did play a part in his alcoholism. But when I chose mine, I knew it was a possibility that I would have a father who was alcoholic. So based on his choices, that's what affected my path the way it did. So if he's looking at his blueprint or creating his blueprint, and he said, okay, at whatever point in my life I can go through some major emotional difficulty, and either one of two things can happen. Either I can choose to overcome, and that leads to a whole different section of your blueprint, or I'm going to drink and become an alcoholic. So based on what his blueprint said, if it said that, based on that, my blueprint could be affected a different way also. So that could mean, okay, here's a possibility of mine. If my father does choose that path and becomes an alcoholic, how will it affect me? Then my choices come in, or based on my free will choices is where I'm led, or what tangent or what line or path I'm led down on my blueprint. And what I'm trying to say is our blueprint does allow for free will choices. And then free will is what basically can change our perception about life. So based on my father being an alcoholic, I could have easily chosen to not look up, not look within myself, not ask for divine guidance, and led the rest of my life feeling like a victim. Or I could say, you know what, if I really did choose this, if that's really true, and I chose it, then that means I don't have to feel like a victim. There's something I'm supposed to learn from it. So if I really have that belief, which I do personally, that he chose, or that I chose him as a father, and there was a chance he would become an alcoholic, and he was, and that doesn't make me a victim, it presents opportunities for me to learn, then what am I supposed to learn from it? When I look at it that way, I realize that I'm not a victim. This is just human life. We're supposed to go through these hard emotions and have struggles and feel like, we can't keep our head above water. We're supposed to feel hurt and pain. And there's absolutely no way that we can truly discover or experience that true Christ consciousness unless we've experienced the depths of despair. How do you know if that's the duality, right? Duality. Let's say light and dark, hot and cold, happiness and sadness. The opposites, or those are polar opposites of each other. Why do we have those? Well, because how would you know what it feels like to be happy if you didn't know what sadness felt like? Sadness is what makes you realize what the happiness actually is. If we just walked around happy all day long, we wouldn't even define it as happy, right? We would just feel it. That's a great place to be in. I wish it wasn't like that, but it's not. But it'd be a great place to be in. But then how would you grow? So, I say that a lot. If I ended up down on my knees begging God for help at one point in my life, back then, that was the worst time of my entire life. Right now, I look back on it and I thank God every day that I actually had that experience, because if I hadn't had that experience, how would I know that I've actually grown and overcome something and risen above that depth of despair? That's what I mean by you don't know what light feels like until you felt darkness. You have to be on your knees begging for help at some point to rise above it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have anything to rise above. And that, my friends, is why we're here, for those experiences. Those experiences are what helps our soul evolve.